welcome back to the Live Garden. In this video I'm going to give you a tour of my vegetable garden and give you an update of what's been happening around the month of June and July. So let's go. In this raised bed I'm growing tomato, bottle gourds, and just behind the bottle gourds I'm also growing potatoes in containers. The potatoes I've started back in the mid-April and is nearly now approaching 3 months, so they are probably ready to harvest now. The bottle gourds are doing really well. They have reached the trellis on top. They have started to produce quite a lot of bottle gourds as well, and if you have not seen my previous updates, go and have a look at my other videos on bottle gourds to get an idea of the progress that's been happening so far. I'm growing probably about 25 bottle gourds in here and they are doing really well. I have probably got quite a few bottle gourds in these plants. It's quite a few. It's hard to see because of the leaves and stuff. Here I also have a couple of Chinese gourds. The tomatoes, look at this plant, it's just covered with covered with the flower buds. Okay, there's going to be probably hundreds in this one plant. Hundreds of tomatoes going to be coming in this plant. So in terms of variety, I'm growing about 5 different varieties of tomatoes. All 4 of them I've grown them previously last year's, and I've collected the seeds. There's one variety, so this variety in here is the Ildel variety, and I've seen a lot of other gardeners growing this variety, and it's just produced masses of cherry tomatoes. It's doing exactly what it should be. Right, behind the bottle gourds I've got the hyacinth beans. They took a little bit while to get going, but they have now climbed up to the trellis, and I've taken the tops off, so that should allow the plants to bush up. Growing quite a lot of potatoes. There's 2 different varieties of potatoes that I'm growing this year. I've got about probably 20 plus containers in here. In the raised bed just next to it I have got chili plants, super hot chili plants that I'm growing here. The chili plants, they took a while to settle down, to climatize to the raised beds, but they have got pods and they're looking healthier now. In between I've got these dwarf cherry tomatoes. They are really early producing. I had some that I've been growing indoor, and I have some leftovers, so I just put the excess plants in here, and you can see they don't get very large, but they produce fruits really early. Some more hyacinth beans in here, so they've started to flower and form the pods. What else do I have in this raised bed? I have spinach in here. So this is really actually quite good spinach to grow during the summer. This is called New Zealand spinach, and we have harvested quite a few times, and yeah, they're really tasty, guys. If you want to grow some spinach during the summertime, yeah, this is the variety that you want to go for. The marigolds, wow, I mean, in ground, look at the size of this marigold. They're kind of like choking my chili plant, so I'm having to prune all those marigold plant to keep in shape and maintain the size. The reason for interplanting marigold was to attract pollinators, and also they look nice, so they've been doing their job really nicely. One other thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that in my raised bed one I've also got a couple of Malabar spinach, green variety in here, and they're doing really well. In this raised bed I've also planted some Armenian cucumbers. You can see between the super hot chili plants I've got quite a lot of space, so what I'm making use of them. I mean, I had initially, as I mentioned, I had lettuces planted in here, and I harvested quite a lot of lettuces from this space. But now that I have taken the lettuce out, and I have taken the spinach out as well, the winter variety of spinach that I grew, well, the spring variety, now this space has opened up for me to use for some amaranth. So in Bengali we call them data, and yeah, so I've planted these data plants in here, as you can see, and yeah, hopefully they will pick up. The growth will pick up very soon. I'm growing some Malabar spinach in my flower border in here. As you can see, I've got both variety in here, the green and the red, and yeah, as you can see, they are climbing up nicely on the trellis system. So yeah, they're doing well. Just give you a sneak peek of my fruit tree. Look at the plum tree, guys. It's covered with plum. It's just like too much plum that we can't even eat. The branches are carving with the weight of the plum, and yeah, they have all ripened and they are just covered everywhere, just plum. Yeah, look at all those plum that are falling on the ground as well from the wind, because if they ripen and if the branches gets disturbed by the wind, you get all the ripened plum falling on the ground. And yeah, it's been the buds been helping themselves out, because it's just too many plums for us to eat. In this raised bed, so this is my raised bed number 3, where I'm growing my vegetables. I mean, I've been harvesting cucumbers, but for some reason the leaves are not as green and as lush compared to my other plants, but it is producing cucumbers, so that's fine. I've got 5 cucumber plants in here. The variety is gherkin, and the other variety is dragon egg, and yeah, they've produced already quite a lot, and we've been just picking them off, but the plants is not that big. I also have in this raised bed beetroot, golden acre variety. They're settling in nicely, and also I've got my Successional planting of New Zealand spinach. Here I have squashes and zucchinis. I am growing 6 squash and zucchini plants in here. In terms of variety, there's 3 different variety, and the zucchinis, wow, I mean, it just keeps on producing. Look at the bee, just chilling inside the flower, pollinating. Yep. Right, so onto my raised bed number 4. Again, this is where I'm growing vegetable as well. I've put some superhouse chili plants in here. So I've got Carolina Reaper chocolates that I'm growing in here. So these are Carolina Reaper chocolates. They have, to be honest, they're growing, but they're just slow, very slow to grow compared to my potted plants. So I'll see. I mean, I did plant them in ground as an experiment in the first place as well, so we'll see if the growth starts to pick up. They are forming buds. So, and also in this raised bed I'm growing the turtle claw chili variety, and I have few plants in here, but again they're covered with buds, but the plants are not that big. I've got also a couple of plants of Egyptian spinach in here. This is a sweet pepper plant. It's doing well, and again I've got some amaranth dutters interplanted in here, and yeah, you can see. What's interesting in this raised bed are the okras. Look, since the last update they have put on quite a few fair amount of growth, and yeah, some are doing better than others. Obviously this one here is still kind of like deciding whether to get going or not, but the few of them, I think one variety, I think this variety in here are more suited for outdoor, better suited for outdoor growth than the other one, the red variety. So yeah, so they have started to grow, and I can see some okras already in here. I've taken some okras out of the just pinched off the okra from the plant just to allow for the plants to grow, but I've just they just keep on pumping out okra, so I've just decided to not pinch out the okras anymore. Just gonna leave it on and see how they do. Right, so on to my next raised beds. I'm growing all my brassicas in here. So I've got collards in here, and also cabbages, green cabbages and also Brussels sprouts, and red cabbages in here. So these three are collards, and I think it's about time they're going to start producing collards in here, in the plant. But the red cabbages, they're going to start to produce cabbage heart soon, and green one already started. In terms of Brussels sprout, they have, you can see the Brussels sprouts being forming on the plant just there, so they will soon be ready to harvest, and they're going to just keep on producing Brussels sprout. Same with collards, they are, you can see in between the stem there are collards being produced. Right, so that's this raised bed. Onto this section of my garden. So here, you haven't seen this section in the previous video. So here I've planted some pumpkin plants in here. So I've got 6 pumpkin plants that I've planted in here. The variety are different, and they are doing really well. They have put on quite a lot of growth. This section I'm growing taro. So hosu in Bengali we call them, and I wasn't sure. I mean, after I planted them, the leaves kind of went a little bit of yellow, and I wasn't sure whether they're going to survive or not. But taros are quite tough plant, guys. So they have recovered, and yeah, I've got 5 taro plants in here, and yeah, look at the healthy leaves. They're really nice. The reason I put them in here is because this section is north facing, so this section gets the least amount of sun in my garden. So I've just put them in here so that obviously taro is able to grow in kind of like shady part of your garden. So moving on, I have got this metal raised bed. My plan was initially to use this raised bed for making compost, but when I made my flower beds, I ended up with quite a lot of sods. So I just kept on putting the grasses, the top layer of grasses, and you know, the soils in this raised bed, and they've just started to fill up. So I thought, why not just make use of this material and grow some plants in this bed. So you can see I've got some allium in the front, and then I've got some sweet pepper, and behind the sweet peppers I've got this miniature the dwarf cherry tomatoes, and look at them, they are covered with tomatoes, and the size of the plant is probably about 4 inches, but like I said, they produce tomatoes very early. So these is the variety, I think it's the patio tom variety. So if you want to grow something as an ornamental plant, I think this would be the ideal variety to go for. Right, so here I've got chili plants. I think this is a tufan variety. So I think it's a variety from Bangladesh. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what sort of chilies they produce. And this one is Thai dragon. So yeah, they have produced quite new leaves, and the buds are coming out. So it's gonna be nice to see. And then behind this I've got the Malabar spinach, and I put this trellis system at the back, and look at them, they're looking really nice. They have climbed up to the top. I'm just gonna pinch off the top as well so that they will bush up. They will produce more branches for us to harvest. And I'm sure you've noticed on the side I'm also growing this winter squash variety, and well, it's you can grow them in summer and it will last well into the winter as well. But this is one of the variety that I've grown last year, and they are really high producer. And this courgette is really nice to have in dishes, in cooking curries. And look at that, they will produce very long courgettes and of really good size. So I've got 3 plants in here, and one other thing to notice is that these are vining varieties, so you'll have to give them some sort of support system to for them to climb up. So I've planted him here, and look at it, it's going. So my plan is to just keep it going all the way across my fence, and yeah, that's the plan. And on the other side, I've got another courgette plants, the squash, winter squash plants, and again this one is also climbing up. Another courgette in here. I'm just gonna let it grow on the ground and see what happens. Right, so moving on to my raised bed 6. What do I have in here? So on raised bed 6, I'm growing dwarf runner beans, and they are doing well. They've been in flower for weeks now, and it's not just the runner beans that I like from this variety. I also like the flower. I've also got super hot chili peppers in here, so Nagamori's variety. So I think I've got 2 varieties in here: Carolina Reaper Red and Carolina Reaper Orange. So this is my own cross from 2020, and I'm also growing the Carolina Reaper White in here. So these are Carolina Reaper White. The plants again have not put on quite a lot of top growth. I don't know whether this is because in ground, but they're producing buds. Wherever I've found gaps, I've put in some amaranths in here as well. So amaranths. I did grow quite a lot of lettuce in this bed, so I've now taken the lettuce out, and yeah, that gave me quite a lot of some spaces to grow some amaranths in here. I've kept one lettuce plant, and let it, to see how the flower looks. So that's that. In this raised bed, just next to my raised bed number 6, this is raised bed 7, and yeah, I'm growing onions in here. They have been doing really well. We've been picking the leaves of the onions to use in the salads, and yeah, it's been really nice. I've also sown some red amaranth in here, and I don't know if you can see, so there's a few rows, about 4 rows of red amaranths, and they've germinated nicely. But once they are a little bit taller, I'll be thinning them off. I've got some red cabbages in here, and look at the giant leaves in of these red cabbages, and yeah, they will be forming the cabbage heart very soon. I've also got some regular chili pepper plants in here. I'm not going to go into varieties because there are different varieties in here of the chili plants that I have, and also I've got some more flower plants in this raised bed. Right, so moving on to my raised bed number 8. The potholes are started to being produced, and yeah, I've harvested a few other day just to see how they just to get the taste of these, and yeah, the plants are doing really nice. They are taking over the trellis now. So underneath these plants, I've got chard that I'm growing. So it's basically another type of spinach. The leaves are really tasty. Alongside the chard, I have got the water spinach. So these are, in Bengali, these are we call them kolmi shak. And yeah, we haven't actually harvested any of the water spinach from here. That's because the growth is not being very good. I mean, the plants are surviving, they're doing well, but it's not like that vigorous growth. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we still have quite a lot of time till the autumn, so we'll see. Just next to the water spinach, I've got some more cucumber, and these plants are looking better than the other cucumber plants on the other raised bed. They have put on the top growth, and I'm trying to get this to climb across this trellis system in here. So yeah, they are, of course, cucumbers. I mean, I did harvest few, but it's not like crazy producers, but the variety is same. So yeah, we'll see. Raised bed 8, growing chili peppers, regular chili peppers. These actually doing much better. They've been constantly producing chilies, regular chilies for the Hasamoris. So there are again different varieties of Hasamoris in here. hot lemons, some black Hungarian, some prairie fires, peri peris, and so this is black Hungarian, this is peri peri, mirchi masala as well. So these plants are doing well. Interplanted between the chili plants, I have got the salad onions, and yeah, salad onions are doing really good. Some more. I've also got some Chinese cabbage. They're called Napa cabbage, and they are really good, guys. If you want to grow something that tastes similar to mustard, I think that's the variety to go for, and you will give you the huge leaves. So if you're a big fan of mustard leaf, then yeah, try this Chinese cabbage, and I'm sure you're not going to be disappointed. In between I've got some super hot chili plants in here as well. So I don't know if you can see. I'm going to be harvesting these because, as you can see, they have bolted, so they've now produced seeds. So it's not going to worth keeping those in this raised bed anymore. I'm going to harvest them, and that's going to allow more light for the chili plants. I've also got a couple of spinach plant. So these are quite interesting. These are, I think they call them Japanese spinach. They're meant to be like tree spinach. They're meant to be growing quite tall. So we'll see. I mean, again, you can harvest the leaves and use them in dishes, salads, and so on. So I did plant some dwarf French beans in here as well. So they're kind of like, immediately after I planted them, there was a little bit of windy days, and I think they suffered a bit. So, but they've picked up, and they're producing some buds now. In this raised bed, I've got lettuce. So I've now harvested all of my lettuce in the other beds and also from these beds, but now I've started my Successional sowed lettuces in here. Again, I'm growing Gustavo and salad bowl in here, and I think these lettuce will be plenty for me to put in the salads. I'm not going to grow much more lettuce. I'm just going to keep one dedicated area for a few lettuce plants, and I think they produce quite a nice amount of leaves. I've also got kohlrabi, so these are kohlrabi plants in here, and of course I have got the green cabbage. They've started to produce the cabbage heart now. Mint in the middle, and then I've got this trellis system for my climbing French beans, and I've got a few plants in here of the French bean variety. So I've got like probably about 8 or 10 plants in here. The variety is Cobra, and also the one of the purple variety. Can't remember the name of this at the moment, but yeah, they have now started to reach the top of the trellis, and I'm going to pinch off the top to allow the plants to bush up. So that's where I'm growing the French beans, and I've got the second round of French bean ready in the pots, ready to go. Once I've started to harvest and these plants will be dying off, I'm going to keep planting these on, so I'll have those continuous production of French beans that can be harvested. Here the cabbage plants, red cabbage, and also the Brussels sprout plants are doing quite well. Right, so finally let's give you an update of my greenhouse. Plants in here are really thriving. I've got few different varieties of super house chilies and also green chili plants that I'm growing in ground, but the potted plants are doing really well. So these plants, you can see, it's just like taking over the greenhouse now. And I'm also growing some okra plants in the greenhouse, just to see the differences between the outdoor grown okra and the in-house grown okra. Also on this side, I've got some very warm loving plants like snake gourds. So this is, I think, yeah, so this is snake gourd plant, and also I've got the watermelon plants, and I've also got sponge gourd as well in here, and yeah, they've been doing really well. The sponge gourd plant and the snake gourd plants have now put on a fair amount of growth, and I think they're going to be soon producing the female flowers. The water, okay, I've got actually one snake gourds you can see in here is there, and it's looking really nice. In terms of the watermelon, yeah, I've got the watermelon now coming up. You can see these are tiny baby watermelons, so they're gonna be interesting to see how quick they bulk up really. And also I've got the about 3 cucumber plants in here. So these are cucumber plants, and I've been constantly harvesting cucumbers from here, and the plants and the leaves looking really healthy as well. I had a few, well, not a few, like about 3 bottle gourds plants that are spare, and I thought just keep them in pots and keep them in the greenhouse and see how they grow. So Allah Mubarak, I've got a few bottle gourds. There's one bottle gourds in the greenhouse from this, and there's another one forming, and yeah, the plants is really thriving in here. And in terms of chili plants, and I've got super hot chili varieties that have now produced pods, and yeah, they're pumping out more flowers, more pods in here, and yeah, they're really thriving as well. Some of the earlier pods, they started to ripen off. So here we go, guys. That was the tour of my vegetable garden, and I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like, comment and subscribe to the channel to see how these plants progresses, and to see how much harvest I get this year. The summer this year for us been really good, and we hope that this weather continues to keep going. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.